Okay, I wanted to show you the updates I've made to the Brownlow sheet. So I'm going to show you how long it takes to load from the web first of all. I believe it's about, that's cached. Just watch the loading bar down here. So it's about 30 seconds. It's been probably 10 so far. Just waiting for that to finish pulling all the data in. What is this fucking frozen shit here? It's alright, it'll go away. It's coming up now to almost 30. Come on, baby. Finish your load. There we go. Okay. So, we now have a fully loaded sheet. I'll take you through what's different. You may or may not have watched the previous video, but same principle. Okay, you select the player. It looks into the statistics of that player that I have in the statistics data entry sheet here. So this is what I keep up to date for my statistical analysis. It also, in this instance, because this is last year, it can go back and look at all the actual votes from last year, and it provides actual there. Obviously, when we're doing 2024 votes, that won't be relevant, but it's good for analysis at the end of the year to see how we've gone. I said the real power at the moment is if we imagine these are votes for 2024, what it's able to do is when we select the player, it brings up their statistics, as I mentioned. Okay, so I've narrowed down on 4 key statistics. I did a bit of analysis on what actually matters, and to varying degrees, super coach disposals, clearances, and goals are correlated, and match result is the most correlated. I just realized the other thing that probably matters is the position that the player plays in, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute because I need to finalize this before I can move forward and start for next year. So I have to make sure we get this right. But as I said, basically, whenever we select a player, it pulls in the stats. The things that I've changed though is this difference versus match high. So what this is basically saying is in this game, Tim Taranto got 103 Supercoach points. That was 23 less than the match high, which was Daniel Rioli at 126. You got 32 disposals. That was the match high because his difference is 0. Anywhere that they are the match high, they're highlighted in green. He was 3 below the clearance high, which must have been George Hewitt, yeah. And he's 3 below the goal high, which is Tom Lynch with 3. So what this lets us do is basically, when we're selecting a player to assign votes, not only can you see the stats, but you can see their stats relative to everyone else within the same game. Now, as I said, the relevance of their position probably comes up here because what I've actually done is create a bit of a calculator here, which is able to look through all of these statistics in this sheet. At the moment, its data that it can look through is round 1 to 16 from 2023. I'll obviously fill that out for last year through to round 24, so we'll have a full year of data to look back on, and it will. So when we're doing the 2024 votes, it can look at all of last year and what happened. When we do 2025, it should be able to look at 2 years worth of data. I just need to work out how to make that happen. But basically, when all these things are blank, and 0 is equivalent to blank here in this differential, I might explain that first. What this is saying is this is a minimum range, and these are maximum ranges. So what we're saying here is between when there's no data entry, it's basically saying 0 super coach through to, I think it reads that as like 1,000, right? 0 to 1,000, 0 to 1,000. Basically, it's capturing everyone's statistics. Where this is, the differential here is minus 1,000. So if I don't put anything here, this is saying, and find me anytime a player's super coach difference was between negative 1,000 and a 0, meaning they got the most, which is every game. Okay, so that's a key thing to remember here. Where this is blank, even like 0 doesn't actually matter here, right? I can delete those and it won't change anything. That's basically just getting all results. So you can see here it finds 6,197 results and 810 votes assigned. That is because there is that many players played across the 16 rounds, not individual players, but there's 22 or 23 players playing for each team in every game, and then there's 810 votes assigned, which is 6 per game. So that must be something like 140, 30, 100, 135 games that have votes assigned there. 135 times 6, I think. Anyway, close enough. All right. So as you can see, this doesn't mean much yet. All right. It's saying 2.2% of players got 3 votes, 2.2 got 2, 2.2 got 1, and 93.5% got no votes. Right. That's standard. Interesting thing, and we already know this, right? If I go to lose, it finds 3,000 records, and you can see 126 votes were assigned to losing players, which is almost equivalent to 0 votes, right? It's not actually 0, it's like a decimal. And in winning games, that 126 votes goes to 666. So we can see there straight away 5 times the amount of votes are going to winning team as opposed to losing. We already knew that, right? But that's the first way we can use this. The next thing we can do is say, okay, I'm sort of querying a player here, and this, let's say Tim Taranto. This player has scored, we've got to give a range. Otherwise, if I just give a precise number, like minimum of 100, maximum of 100, it was done 47 times, but we're sort of chewing out data unnecessarily there. So let's say between 100 and 110, right? There's 479 records found. 3.8% of the time, that player gets 3 votes. Now, it's not enough detail yet, right? Let's also, sorry, that's Supercoach. Let's also say here, so he got 32 disposals. Let's say when they got between 30 and 35 disposals. Okay, we've taken it down to 51 records now, and it happens 7.8% of the time. Let's add in match result now. So Richmond wins this game. Okay, so now it's down to 19 records, but 21% of the time, the player who was in these ranges got 3 votes, and 21% of the time they got 2 votes, as opposed to in a loss that it never did a player a player got 1 vote 1 time. Okay, and if you exclude the result altogether, you can see it's a bit misleading. So it is important to put the result in, I think. Okay, now let's imagine that, and this might break, I don't know what's going to happen here. Let's imagine that the player actually got, Tim Taranto got the most disposals. If he actually got the most disposals, okay, that happened 5 times. The player got between 100 and 110, 30 and 35 disposals, but they got the most disposals. You can see there, 80% of the time they're getting 3 or 2 votes. If their super coach was also the highest, okay, it never happened. We might have to push it up to like 140 yeah, we can see it there, right? So you can see 50% of the time they got 3 votes, and 50% of the time they got nothing. Basically what this does is it lets us dip into the entire database and find out, add a goal, okay? It rarely happens. When this happens, we probably need to we just need to change the search criteria a little bit just to get a feel for it. It's not absolutely precise, but what it does is it does a shitload of calculations for us. Again, let's say they got a minimum of 5 clearances as well. Okay, that's bumped it up to 37%, 3 votes, and an average of 1.8. When I take that out, you can see it drops down to 25%. And take the goal out, it drops down to 17%. Okay, so basically this is a tool when you're not sure, because sometimes statistics don't matter. Often they do though. When you're not sure though, it helps us to say, all right, based on previous scenarios, when a player does this, and relative to what's happened in the rest of the match. So, let's say they were, for example, they were within 10 of Supercoach. Okay. Again, now the 3 vote has dropped, but the 50% of the time they got 2 votes. Okay. Basically, lets us chew through some data. Now, the other interesting thing is I do actually have I'm actually capturing what position the player played in. And I could add into here, and when a player is playing in this position. So, and you're a midfielder. And it would because obviously there's certain times where those statistics and the super coach values get fucked by those stupid defenders who, get 30 loose disposals and don't get a vote. So that's something I may look to add, but that's the major change that's gone in on this version. I'm going to look at how complex it is to put in the positional thing, and I'll just do it by like midfield, defender, and forward. and include the rocks as the mid. But that might be the next release of this.